The symptoms can be local or referred, and I use the term referred loosely to include dizziness as a referred symptom for this purpose. The sources are the neck, tissues made ischemic by vertebral artery occlusion, the vestibular system, and the head, and these are also the referral tissues. Like nearly all referred pain, these symptoms are present when the source's intensity is greater and are directly proportional to its intensity. As a familiar example, pain referred into the arm is more severe and more distal as the source of tissues pain increases. So what we are looking to do is see if the symptoms are linked, that is, coupled, or unlinked, decoupled. This diagram depicts how the three symptoms interact with each other. The symptoms can be caused either by local circumstances such as fractures, inflammation, neurological or meningeal tissue injury, neurophysiological effects such as proprioceptive disturbance upsetting balance and resulting in dizziness, and non-local effects such as referred pain and ischemia. We will make some assumptions. These are mostly borne out by evidence. Traumatic VBI is always associated with dizziness of one type or another. Headache is the second most common symptom of VBI and is almost always present, and we will take steps to make the correction if it is not true. While you can't really say that dizziness is referred pain, it acts as if it is, so for simplicity's sake we will treat it as if it is referred. For process sake, we will make a hypothesis, a falsifiable assumption, that the headache and dizziness are referred from the neck. And finally, we will make the assumption that, as in most cases, not all, that the neck pain will always be present when its referred symptoms are present. There are uncommonly times when only the referred symptoms are felt, but not only is this rare, but ignoring it will only make us err on the side of safety. Using these assumptions, we can predict the behavior of the dizziness and the headache. The statements on this slide are based on how referred pain typically behaves, and once again, if the assumption is untrue in a particular case, it will mean falsely identifying something as serious when it is not, considerably better than identifying something as benign when it is not. Okay, now we can ask our questions. The primary and main question is, do you ever get dizziness and or headache without neck pain? With the usual exception already mentioned, this should not happen if they are of the same source. So it would suggest strongly that one or other or both are not referred from the neck. Similarly, we would expect that referred symptoms to be present when the neck pain was worse. So if it comes on during mild bouts of pain, then there's a reasonable chance the headache or dizziness is not referred unless the mild pain persists for a considerable time. If the headache comes on independently from the dizziness, there's a good chance that neither is caused by vertebrovascular ischemia. If different triggers bring on the headache and dizziness from those bringing on only mild neck pain, then it is likely that they are not referred from the neck. And if the neck pain improves, either short-term or long-term, but the headache dizziness remains the same or worsens, then referral is very unlikely. If all three symptoms are caused by the cervical injury, then all symptoms will be coupled and there will be minimal decoupling. The headache and dizziness will always be coupled. Both symptoms will be present only when the neck pain is present, but not necessarily every time there is neck pain. Or to put it more emphatically, the dizziness and headache will never be present if there is no neck pain present. However, they will always be present when the neck pain is severe. Over time, if the neck pain is improving, then the headache and dizziness should improve, either in severity or in frequency. But if the neck pain worsens, then so will the other two symptoms. If this relationship is not present, then it's fairly obvious that this is not a referral problem. If the headache and dizziness are coupled, but both are decoupled from the neck pain, then the two are from the same source, but that source is not the neck. This is the worst case scenario. The source is likely to be neurological, and if the symptoms come and go, then it is more likely to be caused by neurovascular compromise. This particular pattern would lead me to refer the patient to the ER, regardless of whether I thought the individual symptoms were neurological or non-neurological. This is not something that I particularly want to mess with. This is a confusing scenario, but not necessarily disastrous. Your problem now is what is causing the dizziness, as this has been decoupled from both the headache and the neck. If it is central in nature, if the dizziness is central in nature, then it should be referred to the physician. If it is unstable, that is coming and going, then it should go to the ER. If it was constant, then to an MD if one is immediately available. You can be reasonably certain that there is no headache accompanying the dizziness, therefore it will not be VBI, but you can't be sure. At this point, you should be sure that there is no severe pathology such as a fracture or an ARF, see your previous webinars on headache, and you can stress the neck without moving it by transverse shears to cause enough pain to generate a headache. There should be no risk to the artery if no movement occurs, and if headache is generated, then it is cervicogenic. This scenario is similar to the previous, but now your problem is what is causing the headache. If the headache is spondylogenic in nature, then it might be an atypical presentation of a more serious condition, but more likely it will be an atypical presentation of a spondylogenic headache, but more like one than anything else. You know that as the dizziness is coupled with neck pain, the headache is very unlikely to be an atypical presentation of a VBI headache. And as you know that it is not a fracture or an ARF, you can stress the neck as before to make it a little more certain that the headache is not coming from the neck. In this case, you should be able to proceed with a careful full exam and explain to the physician that you cannot be sure where the headache is coming from and could he give you some advice on it. This diagram is how I would proceed with various presentations of the three symptoms. I'll leave it running for a couple of minutes so you can have a good look at it.